You know, Ezra, you can just admit you're seeing visions of Maul, right? I mean, they know there's the Force. They know you have a big vision thing. You can just tell them. And so he goes, freaks out. Oh! Meanwhile, am I the only one who just feels bad for poor AP5? Like, he just wants to keep the supplies properly set up and loaded and everything nice and organized, and they just keep messing with him. That poor guy. So, Maul actually shows up, for real. And his deal would have worked a lot better if last time he hadn't been like, dead puppies. Which once again helps to highlight why that was just such a misstep in the character, in my opinion. I mean, he's still villainous. He's still an antagonistic character. But his mentality would actually come across as far more, I guess, his approach would come across as more reasonable. Like, notice in this episode, he actually goes out his way not to kill them, even though he probably could have. And what by them I mean specifically Kanan and Sabine. And he even tells Ezra quite a bit of what's going on. And, well, there's another bit I want to get to in just a second. But you'll notice his mentality is still very villainous. Like, his mindset is villainous. I will get what is owed me, what I deserve, and you get what you want. The mindset is completely different. All of his mentality. As I've said before, he's a true believer in the dark side, which is all about domination. It's all about being aggressive. It's all about coming out on top, forcing your way into the reality of things, right? So he's, he takes him in. There's Satine, poor Satine, and we see this whole altar thing and blah blah blah, and then they end up escaping. Okay, cool. I have a quick side note in my notes here that says, well, if they can't go beyond the altar, why not just force push them out of range? Funnily enough, this is actually exactly what Ezra does later. And then he actually destroys the altar. Kudos to Ezra for actually paying attention and being competent. Holy crap. But I want to talk about Maul. Forget the past. Forget your memories. Forget your attachment. We can walk that path together as friends, as brothers. This is ultimately why I find Maul to be a sympathetic character. Because he's broken. He really was just another tool that Palpatine used up, abused, and discarded. Just like everyone else. He wants desperately, this is my interpretation, but I feel he wants desperately to have something real. Something with substance or significance to it. Something that actually matters. Like the family he lost, or the brother that he lost, or the criminal empire he nearly built. Something. Some kind of actual, real connection. And that's why he sounds, and wonderful praise to the voice actor and voice direction. He sounds like he can barely even get the words out as he says, friends, brothers. But the problem with Maul is that he still is tapped into that dark side mentality. I have said for many years that I just don't buy or indeed even like the idea that the dark side is an innately corruptive force. I don't. But one of the things I've always liked the idea is that the force is an innately corruptive force. That if you lean too heavily on it, you bathe in it too much, you just dive into the pool, it affects you. It changes how you think. Maul is still thinking of all of this from the perspective of the dark side. I will make this happen. I will force this to happen. I just... rather than actually trying to connect with someone else. You can tell he wants that symbiotic thing, that connection, that teamwork thing, that other big theme of this show. He wants that, but he has no idea how to do that. He's just flailing. And so he ends up pushing Ezra away. And that's significant because I firmly believe that someone like Ezra, who is tremendously forgiving and understanding, might have been actually capable of reaching out to Maul and connecting with him. Which brings me to my question for you guys that I often have for these kind of interpretive works. Do you think if Ezra had reached out to Maul, he could have connected with him? Because, let's be honest, it's entirely possible that Maul is just too far gone, that he is too broken. At the end of the episode, Sabine gets the Darksaber. Nice touch. And they know that there's a planet with twin suns where Obi-Wan Kenobi is. Now, we, of course, know where that is. They don't. And as Sabine points out, two suns doesn't narrow it down that much in a galaxy this size. Maul, of course, knows exactly where it is, which makes this interesting for what's going to happen in, I think, a few episodes here. First, we got to do a bit of a side story as we go deal with the Geonosians, which we'll be doing next time.